It's an honor to be with you today at this press conference as the President of the United Nations Security Council for the month of January 2026. I'm pleased to present the Council's program of work for the month of January. But before doing so, allow me to speak briefly in my national capacity. Somalia is deeply honored to assume the presidency of the Security Council following our country's return to the Council after 54 years, having last served in the term of 1971-72. This is a significant milestone for my country. Our return as an elected member, now holding the presidency, symbolizes Somalia's commitment to strengthening multilateralism. Over the past year, Somalia has strived to be a voice of reason, a bridge builder, and principled advocate for the respect for the international law, adherence to the UN Charter, the protection of civilians, and a peaceful settlement of disputes. As we assume the presidency this month, Somalia will hold at highest standard diplomacy and multilateral cooperation. We will prioritize efficiency, transparency, inclusivity, and consensus building. Now allow me, in my capacity as the President of the United Nations Security Council for the month of January 2026, to briefly walk through the program of work which the Council adopted this morning. On 8th of January, the Council will hold a briefing on the Middle East on Syria's chemical weapons. This meeting was previously scheduled for the month of December. However, since the Slovenian president was unable to hold, it has been moved to this month's agenda. On January 13th, the Council will hold a TCC meeting on the United Nations Peacekeeping Force in Cyprus, UNOFISP. On January 14th, the Council will hold a briefing on consultations on Yemen. On January 14th, we put as a placeholder for the possible adoption of the Resolution 2722. On January 15th, the Council will hold consultations on United Nations Peacekeeping Force in Cyprus, UNOFISP. On January 19th, the Council will receive briefing from the International Criminal Court on Sudan. On January 21st, the Council will hold a briefing and consultations on Haiti. On January 22nd, the Council will hold a briefing on consultations on Syria pertaining to political and humanitarian aspects. As you may notice, there are some openings on the program of work, including Fridays, except for January 23rd, which we accommodated Colombia's request. Therefore, on January 23rd, the Council will hold a briefing and consultations on Colombia. We are pleased to welcome Colombia to the UN Security Council. On January 26th, the Council will hold a high-level open debate, the promotion and strengthening of the rule of law in the maintenance of international peace and security. Somalia believes the 80th anniversary of the Charter is a timely occasion for the Security Council to reflect on the strides made and challenges that remain in upholding the rule of law among nations. This open debate invites member states to engage in a meaningful dialogue on the concrete steps the UN and its membership can take to advance peace through multilateralism and the rule of law in this new year. This is our signature event and will be chaired by our President, His Excellency Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. On January 27th, we placed a placeholder for the possible adoption of the resolution of United Nations mission to support the Hadlay Agreement, UNMHA. On January 28th, the Council will hold a quarterly open debate on the Middle East. We elevated this meeting to a high level and also will be also chaired by our President, His Excellency Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. In light of the recent development in the occupied Palestinian territory, Yemen, Syria, and Lebanon, we believe it's very important and timely to elevate this open debate to high level and lively discussion. On January 29, the Council is expected to hold consultations on the United Nations Regional Center for Preventive Diplomacy for Central Asia, UNRCCA. On January 29th, the Council is expected to adopt resolution on United Nations Peacekeeping Force in Cyprus, UNIFISP, and United Nations Integrated Office in Haiti, PNUD. On January 29, following these adoptions, the Presidency will hold a monthly wrap-up session at 4:30 p.m. I thank you. There are also several issues not currently listed on the program of work which may require Council attention depending on development on the ground. The Presidency remains ready to convene the Council as needed, and we count on the cooperation of all members to ensure timely and constructive engagement. Let me also take this moment to sincerely thank the Secretariat, especially the Security Council Affairs Division, SCAD, for their excellent support thus far during our term. Our Presidency will greatly benefit from their continued support. Our spokesperson, Khadija Ahmed, is available to engage with you and provide you any clarifications. This Presidency offers Somalia a moment of historic responsibility and opportunity, both to contribute meaningfully to the Council's work and to champion the core principles of the United Nations Charter that have shaped our own national journey. We look forward to engaging constructively with all member states throughout the month of January. I'm now happy to take your questions. I thank you. And lastly, allow me to share our working methods which are central to the effectiveness, credibility, and legitimacy of the Security Council. We believe that how the Council works is just as important as the decision that it takes. Our Presidency will prioritize consensus building, transparency, and efficiency.
We will now take questions. I'd like to remind all of those in this room and those online as well to please introduce yourself and your media organization. And we will take 2 questions at a time. As usual, we'll start with the United Nations Correspondents Association. Amelie.
Thank you. On behalf of the United Nations Correspondents Association, thank you very much for the briefing and good luck for your presidency. I'm Amélie Botelier from AFP News Agency. I have a question regarding the recognition of Somaliland by Israel. The Council had a meeting on this issue last week. As you are directly involved in this issue, do you plan anything to keep the issue on the program of the Security Council during your presidency? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will take one more question.
Yes. Can we do one at a time?
We'll do 2, please.
Would it well if we did one at a time? One question at a time?
Yeah, maybe Ambassador could first answer Amelie's question. I think it's fine.
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, our plan was to have 2 questions at a time because the time is limited. We have to also go to a wrap-up session with the GA. So this is a very interesting question, and you know, as you said, Somalia had a military regime that ruled the country for 21 years, and there was a lot of movements. A majority of them were actually supported by foreigners from outside. And Somalia, those movements that was fighting with the military regime has overthrown military regime together. And during that time, there was atrocities committed by the military regime and also by some of the movements that was fighting with the military regime. And those atrocities can never be called genocide. And it was not a term that can be used because it was not targeted for a specific groups or a specific the government were fighting with people who want to overthrow that regime at the time. And it took place many parts of Somalia, not only northwestern region. But the claim of genocide in Somalia decades ago, more than 40 years ago, by the occupying power of Israel, it was kind of like shock to us. And this attempt, we believe, to distract what the occupying force are doing in the occupied land of Palestine, from ongoing occupations, killing innocent people, displacement, the illegal settlements, all these things, starvations, deliberately starving civilians. And all these things, I think this tactic was used to divert the world focus from the real issues that is taking place in the occupied territory of Palestine.
Please, go ahead.
Hi, Ambassador here. Shudaj with China Central Television. First, wish you a successful month. My question is actually a follow-up on Emily's question. We know that a couple of days ago, the Security Council held a meeting on the problem, the question of Somaliland, and most of the countries in the council, they expressed their opposition of the recognition. What is your reaction to the overwhelming global communities opposed to this recognition? And as my colleague asked about the further plan, but I want to ask, what reaction do you want to get from the council? How to cancel or reverse the decision of the Israeli government? Thank you.
Well, thank you again and for following up this question. And I think one thing I have to make it very clear, atrocities took place during the military regime and during the time there was a fighting between these things. And my government, now the current government in power, was trying, and even the previous governments were trying to reconcile these issues and come up with some kind of resolution on how to address the atrocities that took place in many parts, specifically the northwestern region of Somalia. But the idea of recognizing part of Somalia, I think we believe it was a calculated effort by the Israelis occupying force to distract the world. And we really appreciate when you see the not only the members of the Security Council, which not overwhelmingly, all of them supported the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Somalia. And we really appreciate this. But the way I see it is this was designed specifically to distract. But the government is willing, and there is representatives from that region, from the Northwest region, that are in the government and that are serving in the federal parliament and that are serving the upper house of the parliament. And there is a discussion was going on before even these things, because I participated a dialogue between the Somaliland and Somalia that took place in 2012, 2013, 2014. And this was something that was ongoing, but was never question of sovereignty or territorial integrity of Somalia was any country that recognized or at least thought about this. Because there is the idea even in Somaliland no longer exists. Somaliland was, when we got independence, was two regions, Northeast and Northwest region. And Northeast, which is about 45% of the territory and 45% of probably the population, if it's not more, are also part of the federal government of Somalia. And the Northwest region, part of that Northwest region, which borders toward Djibouti, are also trying to say that they don't want to be part of secessionist group. This is basically, it's not problem of sovereignty and territorial integrity. It's a small group that want to succeed, and succession is a group from this. But again, as I said, the government, even though this exists, the government is trying to come up with some kind of dialogue and open a dialogue and see how best, without any military offense or without all these things, to solve the problem that, if there is a problem that is saying that it exists, how to react on and support on this kind of thing. So I don't know any more answer, but I think we have representatives from that region in the government, and there is a dialogue already going before even these things.
Please.
Thank you, Ambassador. It's Georgia Garangiotti from Athens and Cyprus news agencies. I'm wishing you good luck on your presidency. Do you expect a consensus on the renewal of Cyprus mission mandate? I mean, do you expect a smooth process? Thank you.
As you know, Security Council continues to support the Secretary General's good office and calls always for a dialogue, restraint, and a peaceful negotiated settlement within the UN framework. It's important to respect the status quo in a buffer zone and stabilization role of the UNIFISP, while urging confidence-building measures that reduce tensions. And I don't think it's going to be any problem, but there was going to be listening to the Secretary General's report and see how we can move forward and how to contribute on a peaceful dialogue and to create an environment that are acceptable for all parties. I thank you.
Thank you, Murad Hashim, Al Jazeera Arabic. The Security Council remains silent on the recent developments in Yemen, specifically the crisis with the SCTC. Why? And do you expect a meeting before this, the one scheduled on 14, on this to address this crisis?
Thank you again. The Yemen is a priority for Somalia. You know, we are neighbors, and the Security Council also remains a priority. Yemen a priority for the Security Council. But the most important thing is the de-escalation of the issue. I think that's very critical, not only for Yemen only, but also for the whole region, and also the protection of civilians and the humanitarian support of the humanitarian needs that the people of Yemen needs, but also support on sustainable political settlement. Ensuring the safety, also the UN is very critical because of the some of the arrests that was made by the Houthis on some UN employee. That has also impacted on the humanitarian, but we are trying our best to come up with some way to provide that humanitarian needs that's there and prevent a famine or de-escalation of the de-escalation of the problem of Yemen. And we remain concerned the recent development of the STC, but there's still dialogue going on, and we are waiting a report from the this secretariat from the SRSG of the special envoy of the Secretary General of Yemen soon.
Thank you, Farnoosh Jamiri with the Associated Press. Thanks for having this press conference. I wanted to follow up on some of the Somaliland stuff, most specifically because your president has said that Israel's recognition of this was connected to Somalia or Somaliland taking Gazans who are being, some say forcibly removed from Gaza as the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the Strip happens. Can you confirm that that is something that you guys have agreed to? And then secondly, I want to get your reaction to a onslaught of anti-Somali rhetoric that has been going on in the U.S., most specifically from the President of the United States, and some of the, the rhetoric and even violent threats against Somali Americans in the U.S. Thank you.
The first part of the what Israel's goal is, I think they did not make even, it's not even secret. They want to export the Palestinians from Gaza to any country that accepts. And I think one of the conditions, probably the recognition of Somaliland. We can't even call Somaliland anymore because one region of that is already part of Somalia. So we have to call it the northwest region of Somalia. And I think there was a report that the secretly accepted 1.5 million Palestinians from Gaza to be deported and exported to Somaliland. And that is unacceptable because we're not going to accept a single forced Palestinian to a land, Somaliland, wherever it is. So I think this idea, the whole thing is destruction of try to eliminate the Palestinians from Gaza and also distract the world on focusing on the atrocities that's taking place in Gaza and the West Bank.
Thank you.
Do you have a second? We can.
Regarding
Oh, go ahead.
I think if you look into the rhetoric that's going on the social media, is something way far beyond what the reality is. And if you have seen the report that came from the governor of Minnesota and many cities in Minnesota and Ohio and many parts of in Maine, and that you have seen like Somali Americans that are really successful. Some of them are mayors. There is a city in Maine that's a young Somali lady that was elected mayor. And in Minnesota, Ilhan Omar was elected. And we have many other elected officials. Not only that, Somalis are known as entrepreneurs. Wherever they go, they are business-oriented. And they have a lot of businesses and successful businesses. So to me, it's something like, it's just, again, a way to distract the things. So I don't see any problems on the Somali Americans on this issue, yeah.
Thank you. This is Namo Abdullah with Rudao Media Network. I have two questions. The first one on Somaliland again. I wonder why you are opposed to the right of self-determination for the people of Somaliland. What makes them different from other peoples who have achieved that right? And the second question on Syria. Do you plan to have sessions on Syria? And where does your country stand on the efforts to build an inclusive government in Syria, including Kurds, Arabs, and other communities? Thank you.
The issue of Somaliland Successionist Group is not something that they are part of Somalia. And there is also UN Charter that we have to follow. And then it's an AU, African Union, Organization of African Union, which is a predecessor of the African Union, 1964, after 1 year of its foundation, come up with the Cairo Accord, which says that we have to adhere the borders that was inherited from the colonials. And the other thing that people don't know is Somalia are one people, one ethnic group, one religion, one language, one culture. And if you look the history, Somalia was always a sultanate that stands by itself. The Europeans in the 1884, Somalia was divided at that time. But in 1960, when we get the independence, the first part that got was the British Somaliland, which was the North Somalia. There were two regions. They got their independence in June of 26. The flag they raised is the Somali flag that we have now. The blue with the white five-angle star. And the national anthem that was sung, they sing in June 26, 1960, is the same, the national anthem that we still, Somalia has. And even the movement that claims that they're separate from Somalia, even though we are same people, same ethnic group, same language, same religion, even same sect of the same religion, when they were fighting with the military regime, their name was also SNM. They didn't have Somaliland. There was a Somali national movement. So this is a creation of individuals that have outside from Somalia that want to divide Somalia because of Somalia's richness of its culture and values and where it's located geopolitically. So I don't see any way that, and then we have our own system that is working. So I think the occupying force, they are using this to see if they can move those Palestinians to that land, and also to distract the international community from focusing of the what I call genocide. And not only me, but all the international humanitarian organizations and even ICJs are calling genocide what's taking place. So I don't think it's going to work that.
And the second question on Syria.
On Syria, we have a couple of meetings on Syria. One is the chemical weapons, and one is the political and security and the humanitarian situations. And Syria is very important for Somalia. It's a country, brotherly country that we respect, and we believe after long term of the dictatorship, now they are in a position, but we are also working closely with all the council members to at least adhere their sovereignty and territorial integrity, and unity of Syria is also very critical.
In the middle. Sorry, right behind you. We can come to you afterwards.
Sorry, you want me to speak?
You can go ahead.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm Evelyn Leopold, the chair of the Dag Hammarskjöld Fund for Journalists and a contributor to the Common Dreams website. And I have a couple questions. I will not go into Somaliland again. I think you've answered this at great length. The ICC on Sudan, is this something they were going to do anyway, or did you specifically want the ICC to discuss Sudan? And secondly, has anyone asked about Ukraine? Do you expect that Russian attacks on Ukraine, or whichever way you phrase it? Thank you.
Yeah, the first one, the Sudan and the ICC is mandated. It's not something that we bring. It's just a mandated session that the UN Security Council should have it. And the Security Council underscores the importance of accountability, including through the ICC, as essential to protecting the civilians and combating impunity. Members are deeply alarmed by the worsening humanitarian situation and call for an immediate, unhindered access and increased international support, which is very critical for the Sudan issue. And as you're aware, there was also killing of last week of the UN peacekeeping forces in Sudan. We cannot abandon the engagement or diplomacy on this Sudan issue. On the issue of also Ukraine, I think also many members of the Security Council during our meeting when we were approving today, this morning, with the work plan, suggested that there should be a discussion on this issue. And I think we have to, we cannot, we'll work together with the movement that is going on now, and even also Mr. Trump, President Trump's initiative of come up with some kind of resolution it's also something is very critical because this war has been gone for quite some time. We hope that it will be some kind of resolution that was agreed by the all 15 members of the Security Council to come up with some kind of resolution for the Ukraine issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Stefano Vaccara, Ital Press and La Voce di New York. Ambassador, you made news last week because when you did your speech on the Security Council, you used a very direct language. So I hope you can do this also for this follow-up question. My colleague from AAP asked you what you think about what's happening in this country, because it's not just, I don't know, a journalist or people, but he's the president of the United States that called your country the worst country in the world. And then he called also the people of Somalia garbage. So I hope you can be direct like you were last week. And I ask you this, did you speak with the ambassador of the United States since that talk by the President of the United States? And second of all, do you think that there is a possibility that he's linked what we are talking about Somaliland? Because in the same month, in the same days, basically, we have Trump saying things like that about Somalia, then Israel recognizing Somaliland, and then when there was your meeting, we know that Premier Netanyahu was with Trump. So do you suspect, does your country suspect that maybe there is a link there? And then, another question is about Iran. In Iran, there is a lot going on at the moment. The people are on the street and they're killed. Does your presidency of the Security Council want to do something for the people of Iran?
Okay, the first question, I think, is kind of like the social media has created an environment where everybody's become like an expert. So it's regarding the attack that was attacked personally, I think that's a personal issue and personal question. So I don't want to answer this, but what I would know is the U.S. policy was spoken at the meeting of the Somaliland Security Council. The DPR of the United States has said clearly that they have the sovereignty of Somalia. They are not negotiating with that. So I believe I don't want to be going into this. And then the other thing is, I'm the permanent representative of Somalia to the United Nations. I want to focus only on this thing. So I don't see any policy change from the U.S. So I cannot go any further on that to answer tweets and things like that. On the issue of Iran, I think we're expecting probably, we don't have something in the agenda now, but if something comes up, we're waiting, and we're looking forward to address that issue also in the Security Council.
I'm sorry, Ambassador, something come up, that people being killed now. We were talking also yesterday. You are the president of the Security Council now. Okay. Well, what does have to come up?
Well, there is a UN Department of Peace that deals with this thing. So we're not following the whatever in the media. We cannot say 100% are right. So we have to get at least, reliable sources from the UN or from things. But I think this is something that we follow, and we are serious about anywhere in the world that is a problem of crisis or killing or things that takes place. The Security Council will consider and look into it. But we are president. The president also have to deal with all 15 members of the Security Council.
In the back.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much for the briefing. I am Muna Autul with Al-Quds Al-Arabi. As you've mentioned, Somalia has went through its own humanitarian struggles. So as the Security Council begins this new year under your presidency, how does that experience shape the way the Council approaches similar layered emergencies in other regions, specifically for example, for displaced families and children in Gaza. Right now, we all know they're facing exposure to heavy rain and cold without sufficient clothing. So are there any specific plans or meetings this month to address these particular issues? Thank you.
Well, I think that's a very good question, and I think on the issue of Gaza and the humanitarian issues that's taking place there, we are gravely concerned on that, and we are doing whatever in our power to get this thing. But I think UN OCHA, I think, deals with this United Nations thing, and I think we're looking also, as you know, there was a resolution that was passed a couple of weeks ago, 2803, which is the stabilization of Gaza. And we're looking forward to working with all UN agencies and see how best to address this humanitarian crisis. And you know that there was also issue with UNRWA, and we are addressing that also in the Security Council to make UNRWA is something that we cannot negotiate it. And the majority, overwhelming majority of the Security Council agree with our position that UNRWA is very critical in addressing the humanitarian situation, not only in Gaza, but also in the West Bank.
We'll take one final question. Yes, right in the corner. Yeah, there.
Thank you so much, Khadija. Thank you so much, Ambassador. This is Alex with RIA Novosti News Agency, and good luck for you this busy months. I have a follow-up on Stefano's question. How would you assess right now your current relationship between Somalia and the United States? Because in light of these statements and rhetoric from the US officials, did it have any impact on your relationship here at the United Nations?
I will be frank with you, I don't think it has any impact. And the United States and Somali government are working together in fighting a terrorist organization called Al-Shabaab. And US is one of the countries that are really helping Somalia in not only in training, but also supplying weapons and sharing intelligence with fighting with Al-Shabaab. So I don't see any difference in terms of policy. And we also have a very good relation with the US mission here in New York.
Thank you so much this afternoon. We look forward to continuing this dialogue throughout the month, and thank you for attending.